Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA.
This is the Ospreys Hour.
Hello and welcome to the Ospreys EV podcast. I'm Jamie and joining me for this one is Nick and Zach. Hello gents, how are we?
Hi, Gareth. Thanks very much. Nice to see you again, Zach.
Evening, gents. Cheers for having me on again. It's fun to be here.
No problem. Now, just before we continue, let's just get this out of the way now. So, for listeners of rap who may be familiar with me, or even Dragon Slayer, some of you might listen to that, you'll know that I am a Dragon supporter. So you're probably wondering what the hell is he doing on an Ospreys podcast. It's a fair enough question to ask, but the reason I'm here is because Lee can't be here this week. So I'm stepping in for him. I'm just doing him a favour, which I know it's ironic, a Turk pulling out and a Dragon, coming in for him on an Ospreys pod. It's I know it's a bit weird, but I'm just here to help out, that's all. But what I will say, and I'm genuine about this, Ospreys probably are my second favourite Welsh team. It's definitely not Cardiff, and it's certainly not the Scarlets. And I do mean that. I do like the Ospreys. I have a soft spot for them. So, yeah, I know it's not ideal, and I hope that's okay with people. But if it's not, then I apologise. But like I said, I'm just stepping in as a favour, really. So, okay, that's that out of the way. Shall we crack on with some news then? Let's look at the big news that came out of the club. So Wales and Ospreys captain Jack Morgan has signed a new deal with the club. Morgan has made 43 appearances for the Ospreys since his debut back in 2021, whilst he's also made 17 appearances for Wales during that time. So Morgan said on his new deal, "I'm excited to continue my journey with the Ospreys. This club has always felt like home to me ever since I first pulled on a jersey. With the players and staff we have in the building, the move to St Helens next year, it's an exciting time to be part of this club." Yeah, exciting times indeed. So, Zach, what are your thoughts on Jack Morgan signing a new deal? It's good news, isn't it, for the Ospreys and Welsh Rugby?
I mean, yeah, it's excellent news for everyone involved, basically. As the smaller one of the built different brothers, it's nice to see him that nailed down for hopefully long term. We don't know the details of the contract exactly. I imagine it's going to be 2-3 years of minimum. You'd hopefully something longer, but it's only good news. He's been such a consistent performer this season. He's currently joint top turnovers in Challenge Cup, with most tackles leading to turnovers in the Challenge Cup. He's just immense every time he plays. He's one of the few Wales players at the moment that you can say are pretty much guaranteed a seat on the plane to Australia in the summer with the Lions, and securing him down at his boyhood club, basically, as club captain for the future is only a good thing. It's something that I think every Ospreys fan I've seen is just ecstatic about.
Absolutely delighted. Yeah,
it's good news, Nick, isn't it?
Yeah, he's absolutely, becoming a mainstay of the team. Hopefully, we can do the same with Dewi very soon. I'm not quite sure where Dewi is with his contract, but the top type of boys who are local and who you can build a team around for the next 4 or 5 years, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big Jack Morgan fan. It's just good for Welsh Rugby as well, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's good news for everyone. So, yeah, really good news. Like you said, hopefully Dowie will be next. Maybe that'll be very soon. And that's just another boost for the club, isn't it, to retain your star players, because that's what we don't want is our star players leaving our team. So, very good news for Ospreys and Welsh Rugby. In other news, then, something that caught my eye. I don't know if any of you noticed this. So, last week, Wales Online reported that the Ospreys are targeting a big Southern Hemisphere signing ahead of next season. And they had their sights on Wallabies forward Tom Hooper as their target. Now, today it's been confirmed that Exeter Chiefs have signed him. So, Nick, it does appear like they've missed out on Tom Hooper. I mean, how do you feel about that? Is that the kind of signing you feel the Ospreys need?
No, if I'm honest with you, obviously anybody of that quality is going to add to the squad. But if there's one position I don't think we need to strengthen, even if Adam Beard is, as we anticipate, leaving, we second row stroke a big nasty 6 is not a position. I think when we come to talk about the game from Saturday, I think Will Spencer's stepped in a short-term contract. and would be, for me, a really good signing for a couple of years and do a very good job for us to further strengthen that second row area where we do have some depth as well. So there are positions I seriously would like to develop and add some quality to, but second row stroke six is not one of them. So if it's a choice between spending a lot of money on a non-Welsh qualified second row against a non-Welsh qualified quality 13, I know where I'd like to go.
Fair enough. What about you then, Zach? Do you agree with Nick?
I don't think it was the right signing. Otherwise, there might have been a bit more serious talks, and Ospreys might have landed in the end. But I like the ambition that we're going for a slightly bigger name rather than last season when we're trying to pick up
Mm.
underrated players from the Championship and sort of your Joe Cocker singers who have been slightly mistreated or had some bad luck of injuries. It's nice that we're going after someone who's got a proven record at international rugby. Like you can see that the Scarlets, God, I don't like them, but they've been doing relatively well, at least with their starting tight eight, just because they've had non-Welsh qualified forwards be able to come in and bolster up the pack when your forwards are getting picked for Wales, which is only something that maybe we've struggled with in the past when we've lost Jack, Derry, Adam Beard all at the same time, and with the amount of forwards that we're bringing for the moment that are begging for call-ups, cough, cough, Morgan Morse, etc. It'd be nice to get someone in who's got experience and can be there all year round. Effectively, it just help add a bit of balance to around the international breaks. I think
Mm.
maybe Tom Hooper wasn't the right one. I'm not his biggest fan. The seven lock hybrid always feels a bit strange. Some Rob Baxter wannabe.
Yeah,
But
it suits them, doesn't it? Very
yeah,
much suits Exeter playing people, the big men at seven.
he'll play him at six just to annoy everyone else in the world at just knowing him. But I think I get where it's coming from. I quite like the ambition of it, to be fair.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate saying this on the Ospreys pod, but the Scarlets really did recruit well. And I think all of us could learn from the Scarlets. They didn't sign big names. No one heard
No,
of Blaine Murray.
no,
Did anyone hear of Ellis Me? Not
never
really.
heard
No
of
one heard of Max Douglas. But they're good players, aren't they? And they've
Uh,
done well. Sometimes it's not about big names. It's just bringing in
it.
quality players. And sometimes you have to take
Yeah,
a punt on players. And some of them work out and
yeah,
some of them don't. But I
And
think we
don't
all
si-
need to be smart in our recruitment, I think. Ospreys,
yeah, no,
Dragons, all of
definitely.
us.
Totally agree. And don't sign somebody with a bad injury record.
Yes, don't do what the Dragons did and sign a back rower who had a knee op and hasn't been seen since. So yeah, a lesson for us all there. But yeah, that's just the transfer rumor
Mm.
mill there. Let's talk about injury news. And speaking of injury, so Mark Jones said after the Newcastle game that Reece Henry has torn his calf. So he said that he did this in the warm up before the game. Now we don't know how long he's out for until he's had the scan. Nothing's been confirmed as of yet. But Nick, this is a big blow for the Ospreys, isn't it? Because Reece Henry, I'm a big
Yeah,
Reece Henry fan. I
I
love the guy.
really like Reece Henry. I
Yeah,
think he's got a lot of potential. And as we were saying on the wrap, despite the way he looks, he's still only 25, 26. I think he has got real potential to really develop as he gets into his late 20s into a stalwart, certainly the Ospreys, and he possibly pushing for the Wales team as well. Because as when we come to talk about the Welsh team, tight head is not a position of strength in Wales at the moment with injuries and retirements.
no, it's not. I'm a big fan of Reece Henry. Like I said, yes, he looks like a prop from the 70s. There's no denying that. But I'll tell you something about Reece Henry. What I've always liked and respect about him, that guy can scrum. And there's not many props in Welsh rugby, especially tight ends, who can scrum like him. I think he's very
Oh,
underrated.
it's
Zach, what
it's
about you? Reece Henry, big blow, isn't it?
huge blow. I mean, I love the man. I was there
Yeah.
in Leicester in 2022, and he just kept pushing him back, penalty after penalty. It was gorgeous to watch, and I just think he's a fan favorite at this point.
Yeah.
Like he's got that same aura around him as uh, I'm blanking on his name, which is really annoying. Yeah, it's not coming to me. But he feels like such an important member of the club to the fans as he's just quite fun to watch despite being a tight head prop from the 70s, he then goes and does the best Elvis impression outside of Poncana. And it's
Yeah.
He's
just
got a
like
good kicking game as well.
who doesn't have a prop who can fill in at 10? Like that's well streams. At the end of the day, we are going to miss him because Ben Warren's a very good player, but like making him and Tom Beaufort basically share the minutes the rest of the season is not going to be
Yeah,
fun
no,
for either of them. Let's just hope he's back fit and raring when he is
yeah.
fairly quickly, hopefully.
Well, hopefully it'll only be a couple of months.
Hopefully.
Yeah, let's hope he's not for too long because I'm very much in the Rhys Henry fan club. Like I said, because I just appreciate and admire scrummaging because, like I said, not many props in Welsh rugby can scrummage these days. They're very good in the loose, they're very
Yeah.
good at the breakdown, but an actual scrummaging prop, that's what Rhys Henry is. And yeah, so best of luck. Like I said, we don't know how long he's out for as of yet, but hopefully it won't be too long. And then in other news then, the Ospreys under-18s, they kick-started a RAG campaign with a 32-17 win over the Dragons. So that's a good start for them. Next up for the under-18s, they were home to RGC at Dunraven Brewery Field in Bridgend. That's going to be on the 26th of January, kick-off at 2:30 p.m. So tickets are available on the gate and Osprey season members can get in for free. So yeah, if you're around on the 26th of Jan and you're an Ospreys season ticket holder, get down there for free and yeah, support the boys. So that's the news done. Let's look back on what happened on Saturday night. So Ospreys welcome Newcastle to the Swansea.com stadium and they ran out comfortable 35-15 winners. 2 tries from Jack Walsh and further scores from Sam Parry, Daniel Casande and Kieran Hardy sealed the win. Dan Edwards, of course, was named player of the match. Another excellent performance from the young fly-half. So that result, combined with Poe's win over the Dragons on Sunday, meant that the Ospreys have now qualified for the last 16. So they're through. They're happy now. Zach, what was your thoughts on that performance on Saturday night? You must be pretty chuffed with the
Uh,
result.
it was good. It was perfect in that is what we needed to keep momentum going. Maybe not quite an 80-minute performance. Maybe didn't turn on for the first 10 minutes against quite an inexperienced Newcastle side, it must be said. But to come away with the result that we wanted without them really having a look in is all that we could really ask for going into it. I think there's a couple key performances. Dan Edwards was very good. The pass for Jack Walsh's second try is something that like you see Finn Russell do, and if he does it, it gets like 20,000 likes on Twitter. It's just that sort of game. I think Will Spencer was immense. Lovely
Yeah.
line break, just constantly hitting every rock, tireless effort. Lucky to only get a yellow card, mind, but that's whatever. I think it's just been a very solid performance that we sort of needed to compound off to a relatively positive festive period at the end of the day.
Yeah, all I will add to that really is that I thought Ruben Morgan Williams was good, and I think the way that they're interacting with Kieran Hardy coming on has added some strength and depth at 9. Cassandra is becoming a bit of a fan's favourite as well.
Oh no, I love him. He's great.
Yeah.
Good signing. Really good signing for the Ospreys.
Looks like he
Yeah.
wants to scrap every time he's on the pitch and then
Yeah.
scraps through 7 tackles at the same time. It's great.
Yeah. There's a young lad playing 7, wears a blue cap. He's not a bad player either.
Young is optimistic.
Good old tips.
Yeah, what a player.
Immense. Yeah, brilliant. So, I mean, it wasn't a 80-minute performance then, as Zach said, Nick, but it was a job well done, wasn't it? You know, and Newcastle took the lead early on, and you're thinking, uh-oh, you know, this could go wrong. But fair play to the Ospreys. They did take control in that game, and they probably left some points out there as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had the tries ruled out in about 70 minutes because Kieran Hardy's about a metre offside when he strolled it in with about 10 metres to spare. It's just a little unnecessary. Could have made the score a little nicer.
But I thought, Zach, I don't know how you agree, is I thought we're starting to show a little bit more shape in attack.
Yeah.
I know it's early days of Mark Jones's sort of regime, but you know that gives me because we've always got to be a decent front
Yeah.
group of forwards. But I think for us medium to long term, I think that's very that shows some good progress.
What I did like is, I mean, it showed a lot more, I think, in the second half when
Mm.
Kieran Williams came off and Owen Watkin moved to 12.
Mm.
I think Owen Watkin is a seriously underrated 12 in terms of his distribution and the fact he can crash it up. I really like him at 12, and I'd like him very more for Wales, but I also appreciate there's about five different people in front of him there. And it's
Yeah.
a
Well, we'll
shame
talk
that.
about. I think we'll talk about that in a minute. But
Oh,
I'm with you that definitely.
Yeah, we'll talk about Wales in a bit. That's an interesting point, though, you made there, Nick. I've noticed Ospreys are a lot more of an attacking team now under Mark Jones than perhaps they were under Toby Booth. Do we think this is going to be sort of the new style of Ospreys going forward? Because they have had criticism, even by their own fans, about the attack being blunt. And yes, you do rely heavily on your forwards. But do you think now with Mark Jones, do you think you'll see a different style, a more of an attacking threat?
Well, given his sort of his background, not just his playing background, but what I like about Mark Jones, he didn't just stay in the Goldfish Bowl of Wales. He moved around. He came up to North Wales, an awful lot of travelling, and he oversaw the most successful period for RGC, where they played an attacking brand of rugby. He then took a big step, I imagine, with a man with a young family to go to New Zealand
Yeah,
uh,
Crusaders.
to the Crusaders, and he'll have learned a lot from that experience, different environments, different culture. So I was a fan of Toby, obviously, but
Yeah,
I do think out of all the people we could have appointed to replace Toby, I really do have a lot of faith in what Mark will bring to us as a man as well. For me, he comes over very well in the interviews I've seen with him. But which is obviously very important because I think that's an underrated element is that yes, you've got to be a good coach and you've got to understand the game, but it's also about developing people and managing people, a
yeah.
coaching role, and I think it all goes well for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it didn't end the way we all wanted it to with Toby Booth, because I'm a huge Toby Booth fan, as you know. But you've got a great replacement there, haven't you? You're not scratching like the Dragons that were scratching around for a head
Yeah.
coach. It's a bit of uncertainty there, but you've got Mark Jones in now, and he's unbeaten. It's a good
Mm.
start for him so far, isn't it? You can't get a better
No.
start than that. So, yeah, he's a very good coach. So, anything else from that Newcastle game that any of you would like
Uh,
to talk
I
about?
think I've seen a bit of social media sort of interaction about the crowd, and it was disappointing. I think partly to do to the fact that the Challenge Cup is not the most exciting competition for Welsh fans. And I did a bit of research, but did a bit of digging, and there's been a decline in crowds at Swansea Osprey fans over the last 4 or 5 seasons. Pre-COVID, we were averaging about 6,500. Then COVID hit, and we went down to about 5.5. We're currently about that sort of 5K, and obviously there's a lot less there on Saturday. Um, we're obviously at the moment, I think we've probably got the lowest average attendance than any of the four teams, and but I do think part of that is true down to we playing that have been playing in the biggest stadium. It's so it's always been sort of even on a good day half full, on a very good day half to full, and many times a quarter full. Well, which isn't true of Cardiff or the Dragons. Scarlets get around about half full on average. So I think for Lance and the team there, it won't be so much bringing new fans back in. It will be trying to attract the 2,000 who used to regularly go and watch the Ospreys back into a great fans experience that hopefully St Helens will provide. And I'm fairly confident they'll be able to do that.
Yeah, so the official attendance was just 3,198. There's several factors you could say. I mean, let's be honest, Newcastle, they're not the most glamorous draw, are they? Let's be
Mm.
honest, they don't have a large away following. Perhaps if you were Saracens or, one of the top English clubs, Even Gloucester, I suppose they bring
Yeah.
a good travelling
Yeah.
contingent down, but this is Newcastle, so it's just really disappointing and baffling to me as well because the Ospreys are a good side, but to get those kind of crowd figures, it's
Mm.
just really disappointing and quite baffling, isn't it? So hopefully St Helens does go through. Well, it is in the process, isn't it? I think that's what the Ospreys need because it can't continue like this.
No.
And they don't get any revenue, of course, from the food or drink today at the Swansea.com. So I'm sure I don't know if you talked about this on the last pod, but how do you sort of feel about the move to St Helens? Are you excited about the peer review? Is this the
Personally,
right move for the club?
I'm quite excited just to get out the Swansea.com. It's not a nice stadium to go to in any capacity. Like, despite me not going as much as I'd like to, it's not been a pleasant experience a lot of the time. It's just out of the way. It's not the atmosphere's never been great, even when it has been busy. Even look at back at Boxing Day or 23rd or whatever. It just wasn't even that busy. It's what, 7,000, 8,000, something like that. It's like it's not as buzzing as you'd like to go for a fan experience. I think St Helens can only improve on it, especially if
Yeah.
it's right. St Helens is quite a nice ground. It's in a really nice part of Swansea. It's right on the beach. It's going to be some glorious Friday night games are going to be played there. Just come the end of the year. It's just going to be a nice day out, apart from anything else. It's like if you're going into St Helens, you can go into town really easily. It's very commutable. It's a lot more palatable than the Swansea.com, and I think I'll have a massive impact on the fan experience in general.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
when I was down in Swansea, I was a season ticket here holder for 4 years when we were playing at in my area, the Liberty, and even then, as you know, I'd had better experiences when I've gone to watch them away, where there's been lots of Osprey fans. Went to watch a couple of games at St Helens. It's a historic ground, very historic ground,
Yeah.
fantastic situated on Mumbles Road there on the beach. I think what will be key for a revenue for the Ospreys is to attract people actually to turn up there an hour and a half before kickoff to have food and drink, as opposed to going into town and pubs and around there, because you've got to make that experience really positive to make people they might go to the game, but to get them to turn up an hour and a half before and spend 10 15 quid in the stadium, which the money is going to the club as opposed to 10 15 quid in a pub or restaurant down the road.
Yeah. So you're not a fan of the Swansea.com stadium then, Nick, you?
No,
As a experience,
no.
you don't like it at all? No?
It's just too big.
Yeah.
It was well, they tried to make a clubhouse atmosphere in the Riverside Bar, and obviously that's where the supporters used to join, and the players would come over, and I think they still do give interviews, but it's too big for rugby, because
Yeah.
unless you're Toulouse or somebody, you're not getting 20,000 people there.
No, it's a football ground, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a football ground. What I will say, for what it's worth, I actually prefer the Swansea.com stadium to Park Scarlets as a away fan. I really don't like Park Scarlets at all. I do actually prefer the Swansea.com, but you are right.
It,
It's a fine stadium. I got no problem with it. The
Nothing wrong.
facilities are
mm,
really good. Like they're much better than what you get at Ronnie Parade, for example, or even Cardiff Arms
mm,
Park. It's just too big for regional
yeah.
rugby now.
Yeah.
That's the problem, isn't it?
And I think, I'm sorry I'm old, but, I don't have this romantic view of the rugby in the 70s and 80s when I started watching rugby. Okay, you'd get Ebbw Vale home to Swansea on Boxing Day and there'd be 6,000 there. But there was also plenty of times where Bridgend were home to Aberavon, perhaps in January, and there'd be 4,000 there as well. So this
Yeah.
idea that you had crowds of 20,000 plus in the 70s and 80s every week is rubbish.
It's just romanticism, isn't it? Let's be honest. Yeah, it's rose tinted glasses and all that nostalgia, but the game has changed and times have changed and people's viewing habits have changed as well, haven't they? So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's that then. So Ospreys are through to the last 16. We'll talk about the Pearl game in a bit, but it's a job done. Right, let's talk about Wales then. So the Wales Six Nations squad that was announced this week. Jack Morgan was named as Wales captain, of course. Good choice. No one else really in contention, I don't think, was there. In total, there are 5 Ospreys in the Wales squad. So we got Gareth Thomas, Sam Parry, Jack Morgan, of course, Dan Edwards, and Owen Watkin. So, Zach, come to you first. What do you make of that Wales squad as a whole? Like, with an Ospreys perspective as well, but just as a Wales supporter, when you look at that squad, what do you make of it?
Insanity.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what Gatland's doing. I can't see the vision. I don't get it. I Dan Edwards is excellent, and I love him to bits, and I really do think he has a future in the Wales team. He's also 21 and the only out and out 10 in the Wales squad for Six Nations. Like the amount of pressure going on quite a young man's shoulders at such a young age is impossible to tell, I think. There's a very good chance that Darren Edwards comes into this as starts a wet France game and gets battered in the first 10 minutes and then doesn't play another minute. And I'm worried about him, about his development as a player, as an Osprey. More important at this point. In general, the squad just seems it's very Gatland in that he's picked all his old comfort blanket toys and then dropped Anscombe for no reason, or allegedly a bad reason, and left out Max Llewellyn for some reason, and it's a mess. I don't get it. I don't get this thinking at all.
Okay. Nick, what about you? Wales squad, your general overview on it?
It's just confused, isn't it? As Zach said, it's sort of we sort of oscillate between one sort of vision of how we might play to another. I just think we should settle on that. I didn't think, I'm not in the camp that Thomas and Llewellyn were brilliant in the autumns. I didn't think that pen sent, but at least I did think, even though they weren't my choice of 12 and 13, I did fully agree with picking them for the 3 matches and at least give them a chance to bed down. But I didn't think it worked fantastically well, despite what some people will say about Ben Thomas being this. And Gatland himself is a disaster sometimes in interviews, in the rubbish he talks and the the mind, the bombs he drops, and it just the inconsistency about saying Anscombe, for instance. And I can understand, his legs are gone probably, and he didn't really make much difference in the autumns. But then to say, well, it's because of his age, and then you've got Liam Williams, who was actually an Osprey really because he's from Wynarwydd, at the same age, been in the team. It's sort of so inconsistent. Anthony, I don't enjoy listening to him anymore because I think, oh, he must be a bloody meat. There's a lady, I don't know who she is. You never see her on the screen, but she must be bloody trying to dig a hole when he says stuff, and she's like trying to oversee the press conference. She must be bloody thinking, Christ, get me out of here. Let's hope this is over. Let's hope he doesn't say any more rubbish.
Yeah. I think going back to Dan Edwards, so I'm a massive Dan Edwards fan, and personally, I'm delighted to see him in the Wales squad. However, what I am concerned about, as Zach alluded to there, it's just him and Ben Thomas. Ben Thomas, who doesn't play 10 for Cardiff, by the way.
He's not 10.
Not having, well, yeah, that's another debate, isn't it? But not having Anscombe there, who is fit, because first of all, there was some uncertainty about whether he was actually fit or not. So he was fit. He's been chosen. Well, he's not been chosen to participate in the squad. I'm just a little bit worried about the lack of experience at 10. I think Dan Edwards needed an Anscombe there. He needed an experienced guy just there, like a mentor. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But on the other hand, I am glad he's in the squad. The other talking point for me as well, I don't know whether you guys thought about this, I was really pleased to see Sam Parry back. Because if you remember, they had that bust up, didn't they? And Sam Parry accused, well, Gatland said he felt disrespected, and there was a big bust up, and we thought, well, is that the end now of Sam Parry's international career? And I rate him quite highly, and we are very bare in the hooker department. I'm really pleased for Elliot D as well that he's back in the fold with his experience. And then you got Evan Lloyd from Cardiff, who I think is very raw, to say the least, needs to work on his hours. But Sam Parry, are we happy about that one?
Yeah, and of course, I thought it was. I had to take it. I don't think he does irony, but Gatlin said, "Well, I don't bear a grudge," which
No, of
which
course
I,
it doesn't.
which I thought was bloody hilarious.
Did he actually say that?
He
I didn't
said
see.
it. He said it. He said, "Well, as you know me. I don't bear a grudge."
Oh, he's the king of irony, Gatland, isn't he? That must have been a joke. That must have been an inside joke.
Well, I hope so. I hope
I,
so.
I don't know.
Because
Lou Reed's on Scrum 5 for rap
yeah.
on Thursday. It might just be trying to get to him nice and early.
So as I say, yeah, great for Sam. At the end of the day, he's not going to. I wouldn't have thought start. Elliot will start, but him coming on in a tight game, and let's hope we do get to a tight game. Say in Rome, 10, 15 minutes to go. I hit it, getting his arrows right. Been, a few big carries.
Yeah,
Uh,
Mole try.
yeah, Maul
No,
try. We win by a point. Happy days.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like us to go in with Elliot D starting and Sam
Yeah,
Parry at backup. I got a feeling Gatland will have Evan Lloyd on the bench, though. I just got a feeling.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
mind that.
Even
Sorry, was that?
I don't know. I don't. Evan Lloyd's been so hit and miss this season. Mainly, that's exactly as darts. They've been hit or missed by a lot. Noted them on Cardiff line out, but it's just I feel like you'd want by the basis of the squad and bringing back in Faletau and Liam Williams. It seems like he's trying to get a win to try and save his job. I don't know if he'll try and throw Evan Lloyd in for the sake of throwing Evan Lloyd in at the end of the day.
I mean,
I
It's,
don't
don't get
like.
me wrong. I can see why he likes Evan Lloyd 'cause he's big, he's very good in the loose, he's a good ball carrier. Again, the biased Dragon fan in me say maybe Brody Coglan should have made the squad. I'm a big fan of Brody, but he's missed out to Evan Lloyd. That's fine. I get it. I understand why. But I just think it's really important to have the experience of Sam Parry there.
Yeah, I don't mind Evan Lloyd so much if it's like a game we ain't going to win, which is probably France away, just to give him that 10-minute, 50-minute. But certainly when we come to games which hopefully we can be in, maybe England at home, uh, as maybe Scotland away, those are the games. And obviously in Rome, well, Sampari has to be back up,
yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally think it's a good thing actually that he's brought back Tupi Fato, Liam Williams, Elliot D, and
yeah,
these guys because they are experienced quality players. Josh Adams as well. He's been in great form for Cardiff. Fair play. Peak Josh Adams is fantastic, and
yeah,
he's in really peak form at the minute. So I can understand why he's brought them back. I think that's the right thing to do. Of course, Gatlin needs to win. He's lost 12 games in a row. His job is on the line. His
yeah.
neck is on the block. He knows that. So I think it's right that he's brought back these guys. What about you, Nick?
We all need a bloody win, don't we, Jamie? It's not our jobs out on the line, but
Well,
it's
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
miserable being a Welsh fan, isn't it?
It's miserable having to watch a team lose every week, it must be said. But it'll be I I want to see what Wales do. I'm just not convinced. I'm really not.
No, I'm not. I agree.
I, there's a other couple things. I'm confused at Roger Williams. Like Roger Williams has been a pretty good nine for Dragons this season. He's been a bit hot and cold, but when he's been hot, he's been excellent. But you picking him over Ruben Morgan Williams, who has been probably the form nine in Wales.
But
Yeah.
was he picked over Ruben Morgan Williams, or was it the Cardiff scrum half Ellis Bevan that was picked over Ruben Morgan Williams? Because I think it
Uh,
was more like Ellis Bevan got the nod over
I
Ruben
don't.
Morgan Williams.
I disagree. I think Ellis Bevan got in because he's left-footed,
Do
and
you think
Warren
he's a good
Gatland.
player though?
I
Do you think
think
Ellis Bevan?
he's fine.
Solid.
I think he's not quite the finished product yet. He's still got potential, but he's not at the same level as the other nines in the squad or Ruben even. Like, I think he has another year of him of getting just some of the basics down a bit better. Its support lines aren't quite where you'd want an international nine to be a lot of the time. He's often just a half step behind. It means a lot of half breaks don't transition as much as you like, as you see like in Ireland. If they make a half break, Jameson Gibson Park is maybe the best in the world at doing it, but there's always on the shoulder waiting for it. And he's not quite got the same instinct yet. He'll get it playing for Cardiff because they're going to make a load of breaks at the end of the day and probably score a decent amount of tries. But it's something I don't think he needs quite there. at least compared to Ruben, who seems to be making opportunities for fun.
Can I
Yeah,
just pick up? Sorry, Jim.
go on. No, go on, Nick. Go on. Sorry.
Can I just pick up? Sort of, I agree with that reference there, but just going back to what you said about some experience, I tell you, and maybe because we're Osprey fans, we see it different. I tell you, a player who doesn't get the credit, and Zach's already alluded to it, is Owen Watkin. What we need players with some experience. He's a 50 cap man. Okay, he's never set the world alight, but he's had a very good season. He's playing well, and I think his best position in international rugby, as Zach said, is probably a 12. The one time we looked good since the World Cup in the centre was when Owen Watkin was playing 12 and Joe Roberts played outside him at 13. For 60 minutes
Yeah,
against France, we looked half decent.
we looked really good until Joe Roberts did his ACL
Yeah,
in, which is
yeah.
very unfortunate.
And obviously the strength of the French pack sort of replacements came on. So I would really advocate, and I know, and I know I wouldn't, I'd be slagged off if I was saying this and any other. So I would really advocate a 12-13 that played against France again, with Owen playing at 12 because he's big enough, he's got enough distribution, he's a fantastic defender. And if Joe Roberts is as good as all the Scarlet fans say think he is, and of course because of Gatland, he loves a left footer,
Yeah.
well, he's your man. And that would be my centre pairing. I don't think it will be, by the way, come the first picks for the France game. But that's who I would like to see. And once you've settled on that, my point is again, don't muck around with it. Give them 3 or 4 games, unless there's an injury or somebody's really knackered and needs a rest. Let them have an opportunity to develop a partnership.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned Owen Watkin. So I like Owen Watkin a lot. He seems to be one of those players that is dismissed by fans of other regions.
Yeah,
And, anytime Owen Watkin is in the Wales conversation,
Yeah.
people just oh, Owen Watkin, what does he do? He's rubbish. He's a very underrated player. His defense is solid. He is rock solid. And he's not a bad distributor as well.
No.
Okay, he might not have the pace and go forward of other centres, but Owen Watkin is reliable. And I haven't got an issue with Owen Watkin. I think he's a really good player, but he does seem to get sort of maligned by other supporters, doesn't he, of other
yeah.
regions? Why do you think that is then? Why do you think fans of other teams don't
He's
rate
not
Owen Watkin?
he's not particularly flashy. He's not got like the
Yeah,
natural frame of Eddie James, where he's just a big and the hands, but he doesn't quite have the immense distribution of a Ben Thomas. He's a bit of a mix of both. It's sort of instead of being a dozen of one, he's half a dozen and half a dozen another. It's like it just means that he gets confined in a box if no one really knows what he is, and then diminishes him to being not very. He's either not a good crash ball center or he's not a good distributing center. When in reality, he's probably the best combination of both that we have. I'd argue at least.
And I think the other thing I would add to that is that certainly on social media, everybody just likes sexy rugby, but playing rugby, particularly in a position like the centre, there's a 50-50 split. 50% is attack and distribution, but 50% is defence. So if you can't make your tackles, you can't put your opposite number down, and they can make breaks through you. Well, it doesn't matter. You've got a lot of catching up to score tries to get sort of get yourself in the positive uh, area of a performance.
yeah, absolutely. Like I got a lot of time for Owen Watkin. I think it's really good. I think he gets so much unfair stick from other supporters. And I'm pleased to see him in the Wales squad. And yeah, I'd have no issue with him starting in the team.
No,
12 or 13, actually. I don't mind
yeah,
where he
I
starts.
don't
I
mind.
just like to see
No,
him in the team.
yeah.
So let's look at the notable omissions then. So Reece Davis wasn't included. James
Mm.
Fender could be an argument for him. He's a massive guy. Ruben Morgan Williams, we talked about.
Yeah,
Yes, he should be in the squad. I agree. I would have liked Rodri staying at the Dragons actually, because we got 2 games during the Six Nations period. We could have really done with him. But fair play to him. I love Rodri, so I'm glad he's involved. And then Morgan Morris. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it was the first time I noticed in a little while where a Wales squad was announced and nobody was saying, "Where's Morgan Morris?" Do you think now supporters have just sort of accepted that he's never going to get a fair crack with Wales?
Uh, I think it's a mix of that and the fact that out of the back row options that Gatland has picked, who are you dropping? Because you're not dropping Faletau, you're not dropping Jack Morgan, you're not dropping James Botham, who has been the last three tests he's played for Wales has been immense. You're not dropping Aaron Wainwright because he was Wales' best player last year, and you're not dropping Tommy Raffel because he's playing in a very good Leicester Tigers team and is probably the only out and out Jackal threat seven left in the professional game at the top level. And it's out of those five, who are you dropping for Morgan Morris? He's a very different style of player. It's I have a feeling that Morgan Morris is maybe not helped by the fact that he's not quite as good with his feet as a Wainwright or a Faletau. He's not quite the type of eight that Gatland likes, and I think he's been shafted in that regard. But at the same time, I don't know who you drop for him at this point.
I think I agree with all that again, but I think Morgan Morris should have played last year. And I've got nothing against Mackenzie Martin, but he wasn't even first choice eight for a back row for the under 20s.
Playing
How
for Cardiff FC now.
no,
He seems to have
Yeah.
dropped
yeah,
down a bit, doesn't he?
and I'm sure for his long term development that they'll think that's a good thing,
Yeah,
and
probably
I've
for the
got,
best. Yeah.
but how he was ever selected, and it's not personal, and I really hope he develops into a very good back rower. But how he was selected last year about somebody who was, doing it week in week out in the URC was ridiculous. And I didn't agree. I obviously our great hope, and I really really rate his Morgan Morse, but no way is he ready for an international rugby
No
either.
chance.
He's still eligible for the 20s. I think he's only 20 this month. But I just think, yeah, I think Morris is, unless of course we have a change in regime and Mr. Gatland goes back to drinking wine on the beach in New Zealand, then maybe Morgan Morris might have a chance again. But otherwise, no, he's got no chance of playing for Wales.
Hmm. And then the other notable omissions, not Ospreys related, well, some of them are Ospreys.
Mm.
Cam Winnett and Rio Dyer, who were ever present for Wales over the past year or so, they're not selected.
No.
No Johnny Williams, Max Llewellyn, who we talked about. That was a shock. I did not see that one come in. He didn't touch the ball against South Africa. That was
Okay, but
Gatland's reasoning. But I mean, he must have.
I,
He didn't even get the ball at all. And when we did
yeah,
have the ball, we were kicking it away, and it was against South Africa. So flimsy excuse from Gatland there, wasn't it? I think.
it's unfortunate for him. It's a bad excuse from Gatland, but I think it says more about the game plan we are trying to install on South Africa of a very physical and defense-oriented game plan against the most physical team in the world, who've recently got a very new sexy attack coach. But it's not fair. To be fair, Max Owen didn't. I think you said earlier, he didn't really nail down that 13 spot. He wasn't lighting it up as such. I also think he's been so good for Gloucester this season. Leaving out is insane. He's just asking for his critics to come at him at this point.
I have a theory.
Premiership's top try scorer,
Yeah.
Max
I,
Llewellyn.
I have a theory. I didn't want to get an argument on the other night with Harley, but I do have a theory about Cam Winnett.
Go on then. See if I agree with you.
I just think he hasn't got that extra yard of pace. He hasn't. He can make half breaks, and he's not a big man, that's not his fault. So he hasn't got the power to drive through somebody, and you just think, oh, he's on the outside, and he never quite get on the outside. He's good in the air. Obviously, he's not the biggest man again, but he's very brave. His defense is not the best. That try that Australia scored was where he was sort of not really. He should have just smashed into the Australian. If he'd have knocked him over or gone round him, fair enough. But just standing off him, and even when you see a break against Cardiff, I don't have much confidence in him as the last line of defence, knocking that man down. So hopefully he can improve, but I just don't think he's got that extra half yard of pace. Great as a Cardiff player, but to be an international, you have to have that little bit of extra. and that's why I think he's not been picked.
I think it doesn't help that I think you could say he's not directly responsible, but could have saved a couple tries that maybe a Liam Williams or Halfpenny would have, especially against. I always think back to the Caleb Muntz try that he scored against us in the first one from that international, and it's just him versus Cam Winnett, and they're 20 meters out. He doesn't even need to get that good of a tackle. He just needs to
No.
stop him, and he can't, which is
Yeah,
disappointing. It's not quite what you want from an international quality 15
yeah,
at the end of the day.
yeah.
It's I get why he's been dropped. I think it'll be probably for the best for him long term. Give him some time at the Cardiff just to secure. He's had such a quick upbringing into international rugby, and letting him just settle down for a little bit would be, I think, great for his development long term. And I hope he manages to get back into the Wales team one day because going forward, he is electric. He is like a mini Villy LaRue, and
Oh,
it's
he's got
just
good hands. He knows where to hit a line. I've got no problems with that, but I just think that
uh,
he hasn't quite got that extra yard to make that
is
half chance into chance that is converted.
yeah. I get you.
Go on. Fair points, fair points. I like Cam Winnett. I don't think he's hit the heights this season than he did last season. I still expected him though to be in the World squad. I won't lie, it was a
Yeah,
I
surprise
did,
not
I
seeing
did.
it, but I do agree with you. That's something that doesn't get talked about a lot. I don't think he's very good defensively, Cam Winnett. I think his defense is a bit weak, but like I said, I thought he'd be there. I hope it doesn't knock his confidence too much, and I'm sure
Yeah.
he will be in the Wales squad again.
Can I just
Rio
say what?
Dyer is just blown
Yeah,
hot and cold for the
yeah,
Dragons. So
yeah,
we had this conversation, Nick, and we in our group
yeah.
chat. I said, don't be surprised if Rio's not
No,
included.
you said it all along. You
Um,
called it.
I don't think that's a bad thing, for the Dragons to have him as well during the Six Nations period and to build a bit more confidence. Doesn't help that he's playing in a really poor attacking
yeah.
system at the Dragons. But sorry, Nick, what was you going to say then?
No, I'm just interested. I've seen the England squad today, and Gatlin was going on about 33. Well, it's not the World Cup. You don't have to pick 33. You can pick 34 if you want, or 35 things. I know it's so unless the Welsh Rugby have said you can't take more than 33 to France, and I think they go to Nice and Rome. It's rubbish. You pick as many players as you bloody want.
Mm. And then you look at other guys then. Corey Domachowski said to you, didn't I, the other night? He seemed to have slipped off the radar now.
I
Not sure what's happened there.
To be fair,
Brody Coughlin, go on.
I get the loose head. Like, loose head seems fairly stable with his picking. He's always liked Matthias. I think this season he's been a lot better than last season. I think he can hold his own in the scrum. And to be fair, Nicky Smith and Gareth Thomas have been immense. I think for the first loose head prop is something we're not that concerned about. If Corey Domachowski, who has been very good, to be fair, for Cardiff all season,
Yeah.
gets is our fourth choice. I'm not complaining at that at all.
No, that's fair enough, but it's just striking how he's just not in
Yeah,
favour. What you're saying about when he's been a regular. Brody Coughlin mentioned earlier, I think he's unlucky, but his time will come. Dylan Lewis, he misses out. And then we mentioned earlier, Reese Davis, Fender, Tame Plumtree. I don't know what you guys think of Tame Plumtree. So I think he's a tidy player. I just wish he stopped giving away thick penalties. And I think that's probably the reason why he's not in this Wales squad. Is maybe Gatland's looked at this discipline and said, no, we can't be having that because the amount of penalties he gives away for the Scarlets is insane. But I like
he,
him. He's a decent
yeah,
player.
he's a very good player. He just needs time to mature at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally
Yeah,
agree.
fair enough. Tame Basham, Dragons fans going nuts about his non-inclusion. But like I say to him, who do you drop? I just
Yeah,
think Tane is a victim of the back row riches. He is having a brilliant season in a poor
yeah.
Dragons team, but unfortunately he misses out.
If Tame
Uh,
Basham was English, he'd probably go to the England squad. If he was Irish, he'd be in the Ireland squad, sort of thing.
yeah.
Unfortunately, Wales just have a back row depth, and they have done ever since Warburton sort of came onto the scene in 2011.
But he's a player like you guys are unwalking. He's a player I have to defend because a lot of
I know, I love him.
supporters from other regions do slag him off. And yeah, he may not be, the poach at the breakdown, like Jack Morgan is, for example, or Tommy Raffel, but he's got great feet. He's electric with ball in hand. He's
Yeah.
an excellent ball carrier. He's a very talented player, Tame Bash. I got a
He
lot of
also
time
has
for him.
I do like him as a little bit of niggle in him as
He
well, and I
does.
just maybe it tips over a bit, but I just like it. It gives that extra bit of scrap, and there's something endearing about that in a player.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Josh McLeod, he's been good for the Scarlets, but I don't think he really stood a chance against him. Jared Evans, he's been going well for Queens, but he didn't get a look in. Obviously,
Yeah.
we mentioned Morgan Morris earlier. Tell you who is in the squad, it was Will Griff John. Remember him? He's back.
Good
So
old North Walian.
are you happy with that, Nick? Can you? Oh dear. I think it shows how bare the tight head cupboard is, mate. Now, some people said Ben Warren, didn't they, as an option, but you're not
He's
convinced
not ready
about
yet.
that, are you?
He's not ready
No?
yet. Not a chance. He needs
I
another
don't,
season. He needs to get a season starting for the Ospreys. At the moment, he's had like half the season starting for us at the moment, and he's looked good in patches, but isn't quite ready yet. Give it a year or two, I think he'll be able to get up to level for.
Mm, fair enough. So, as I said, 5 Ospreys in the Wales squad. Are we happy with that? Do you think there should have been more, or do you think that's the right number?
I think I just want to make one point, and he alluded to it as well, is that all the second rows, other than Teddy Williams, play outside of Wales. So I don't know whether they'll be able to join up with the squad. The week before they did a bit in the autumns, but certainly they will have to go back in the fallow weeks.
Yeah,
So that's he's chosen to do that, which is okay. So and he also mentioned that there'd be some local players coming in. So I would fully
Yeah.
expect if I was them, I'd want them to have a look at Fender. Reece Davis is
yeah,
a really good player, but unfortunately he's only just back from injury. Fender a little bit as well, but Fender has the raw attributes at 6'7",
yeah,
19 stone to be
Yeah,
considered as an international second row.
yeah.
he's huge, isn't he? He's a unit. Big, got a lot of time for James Fender. There's 23 Welsh-based players in the Wales squad, and 11 of them are based outside of Wales. Just to pick up on your point. So that's the Wales squad then. So overall, we're not feeling it, are we, on this Wales squad? Personally, I think it's decent. Yes, there are some very questionable selections, some very questionable omissions, but on the whole, I think it's decent. But you two are not, you're not keen.
No,
I'm
other than the
less.
go on, Sam.
I'm less happy, but it's just a general vibe of being less happy with Wales. I don't see how these players fit Gatton's play style, realistically.
Yeah, confusion at centre and outside half. But I'm with you as well, Jamie. Is that the only chance we've got? I think is to play a little bit of experience in a couple of games we have a chance in on paper. The rest is just trying to avoid humiliation and give a performance. So as I say, it's Italy away, Scotland away, and England home.
Mind you, I do think that if we somehow turn over France in Paris in whatever miracle world it is, we will go and win the slam no matter what. It feels like 2019 where you get a dodgy win over France and Paris, beat Italy, not necessarily convincingly, but beat them, and then you just build up momentum from there. And I can see it being winning the
Well,
slam against England in the Principality.
I don't think we'll
Just,
have long to play that back to you. Probably the week after we've played the France game.
I'd say there's a 2% chance we win that game, but if we win that game, we'll win the
Oh,
slam.
brilliant, brilliant.
Well, it's nice to dream, boys, isn't it? It's nice to dream. So let's do predictions then for the Six Nations. Where do you think Wales will finish in the Six Nations table? Sack, where are we going to
Sixth,
finish?
sixth, spoon.
You think we get a spoon again?
Yeah, Italy look good.
They are, yeah. Okay,
Fifth,
fair
Very
enough.
simply.
fifth will beat Italy away.
I agree, Nick. I'm going to go for fifth as well. That Italy game is key, and I think
Yeah.
that game is going to decide our fate in this tournament. If we
Yeah.
we will lose to France, I have no doubt about that. And then if we lose to Italy, I cannot see where the next win is coming from. Although a lot of supporters I see online and people I speak to, they seem to think that we got a chance against England in Cardiff. They seem confident that that's a game we can win. I'm not so sure. I think England are going to do well in this Six Nations. They're
England,
strong. This squad is strong.
they played really well in the autumn, to be fair. And it's, despite me saying it, they're just lacking the game management, which feels very anti-English of them. But with Marcus Smith, who's currently red hot, and Finn Smith coming in, who's also red hot, I don't see them like not losing to us. I don't see them giving us the opportunity to have them beat them, even like in the Principality. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, they got a decent squad, England. I had a look at it today. I don't think that they won't win the Six Nations, but I think they'll
No.
be up there. They will be up there.
Actually, I think it's for us. It's just so key that we don't get slaughtered in France. We beat Italy. We have decent performances home at Ireland and Scotland away. Then I think we have a chance if we still haven't picked up too many injuries at England at home. I do think, given that sort of performance level and those sort of results, I do think we have a chance against England at home. Guess if we don't, that would need to be in place for us to have a chance, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, then that's the Wales chat done. Let's get back now to the Ospreys. So next up, it's away to Po. Saturday, 1 p.m. kickoff. Is this game on TV or is it on EPCR TV?
EPCR, and
Right. You'll have to pay for that then, isn't it? £6.60 something,
It's
isn't
like
it?
it's like £7.99 or something. It's
Euros,
just,
yeah.
Euros, no,
it's just
no
So
commentary.
are you are you boys going to be stumping up to watch it? Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's where it has to go, isn't it?
definitely.
Yeah, quite right too. So look, we know the Ospreys already qualified. It's job done. But a victory in France this weekend will guarantee Mark Jones's side a home draw. So it's all to play for. This is quite an important game. So how are we feeling about this one? Now, obviously, Poe did come to Newport. They did beat the Dragons. They overpowered them. I mean, we got no front five at the moment, quite frankly. But I'm guessing the Poe will go stronger for this one because they are at home and they've got a lot to play for as well in this.
Yeah.
Nick, how do you feel about this game? How do you think Ospreys are going to approach it? Do you think they're going to go full strength for this one, or how do you see it going?
I really can't call it. It's basically a shootout for second in that league. I would think Montpellier will win it in that division. So it's a very important game for, as you say, for home draw for the next round, possibly even for the quarter final as well. So with that in mind, you'd like to think we'd go strong. Their home record, I was looking, is 5-2. They've won 5 home games, which is very typical of French teams. They stack their teams for home games. They lost to Toulouse, that's no disgrace,
Yeah,
is it?
first.
And the other team they lost to was Racing 92, who are having a poor season. So that gives me a bit of hope. Going back to your point about how they overpowered the Dragons, hopefully that won't be the case with the type of front five we can put out.
It won't be the case, Nick. Don't worry about that. The Ospreys got front five and the Dragons have it. You will not be. Well, you shouldn't be overpowered. I wouldn't have thought.
But it's how many of the Welsh players we've talked about are going to travel? That's the question for me. But I think we'll be looking for a point, maybe 2 with a bonus point. I'm not convinced we'll win. I'd like to think we do, but I think we'll probably come a little bit short of that because they'll put out a very strong team as well.
Yeah, they will go stronger for this one. I'm sure they will. Sack, Poe, away. What do you reckon?
I'm not confident, but I think we can keep it close. I think if we go fully loaded, which I'd be inclined to, given that we'd lose our internationals next week anyway.
Yeah.
There's no point in resting Jack Morgan in my mind, sort of thing. If we go fully loaded, I think we can go out and get a result. Not necessarily a win, but I think we can go out and get a point or two. If we can try and keep it close, losing bonus point or get 4 tries if it is getting away from us, I think I'd be happy at the end of the day.
Yeah. It'd probably give us a home tie in the round of 16, wouldn't it? If we got
I think odds are if it's 1 point, it'd be probably go to the lowest ranked team at the Challenge Cup, home team. But if we get 2, we'd probably be best third place and get a home game against Champions Cup side dropping, which given the quality coming down at the Champions Cup is something that we might be able to take advantage of.
Yeah,
especially if we fall into like a Stormers dropping or a Sharks dropping down.
and also just the fact that we've qualified now for 3 consecutive seasons for the round of 16, which is, I think, the best record of any of the Welsh teams over the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have that. Even if the league's not going as well this year initially, it's nice that we still have Europe to look about how good we are, show that we probably still have the strongest region on paper against
Yeah,
the bigger teams at least.
Ospreys do have the best team on paper, absolutely. So how important now is Europe then? Because obviously the league, it hasn't gone as you guys would hope. But there is an opportunity to have a good run now, isn't it, in the Challenge Cup? So how important is it to get a good run in this tournament and boost a bit of confidence? And it gives the fans something to look forward to as well, doesn't it? Knowing that if you get a home knockout, and that's extra revenue for the club, of course. So do you want to see the club take this seriously and give it a good run? How important the Challenge Cup is to you as Osprey supporters?
I think it'd be a great opportunity this season to start off Mark Jones's regime with a bang and prove something. I think so far we're playing really well, and it looks like we're getting arguably better and better each game so far. And I think that if we can put that into a cup run where we make a semi-final, long round terms, that might be a good idea. I don't think we'll be able to make the Champions Cup via the league at this point. I think it's just too far gone. We've got too many tough away days ahead of us. But I think if we come up and can maybe try and win the Champions Cup, sorry, win the Challenge Cup and qualify like the Sharks did last year, it would be, I think, maybe best case scenario. And it's something I think we should be aiming for as much as we can.
Yeah, I think we should be targeting. I'm not. I must admit, given the strength of squads we've got in Wales at the moment, the Champions Cup is almost. I'm not really bothered about it. Uh, I'd rather do well in this and do well and hopefully get to the quarterfinals of the URC. I just don't think we have the strength of squads to be playing your Toulouse and your
Oh God,
Toulon,
no,
your
absolutely
Northampton,
not. No.
I
Leinster.
don't,
You've got to target certain games. We haven't got those strengths of 45 top quality players who you can, mix around. So you've got to be a little bit savvy in how you approach the season.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just think Europe now is a convoluted mess. And I had a little rant about this, as you know, on the Rat Pod, ever since the South Africans came into it. I got no issue with them being in the URC, just to make that
No,
abundantly
no,
clear. I could understand why financial and logistical reasons it was fine. But in Europe, nobody's happy. South
no.
Africans are complaining about the travel and, Dragons having to travel 10,000 miles just to play a game of rugby and weakened squads
Yeah,
in the challenge and champions. It's just a mess, Europe now. I just don't think it used to be a wonderful tournament and we always look forward to it. Now I just think, well, it's lost its magic a little bit,
yeah,
I'd say.
yeah.
Would you agree or
No, I totally agree. Yeah, and also the fact, you don't play the same teams home and away. That was and for fans as well, you could plan a trip to, some in France or Ireland or whatever, for a good weekend away supporting your team or London, whatever it was. It's just lost. I think it's really lost its magic.
yeah, that's it's a shame. But like I say, it does give supporters something to look forward to, doesn't it? A home
Yeah.
knockout ties. So yeah, playing to play for the Ospreys. So let's do predictions then. I was gonna go score predictions. Zach, Ospreys out in Poe. What are you saying?
oh, 27, Ospreys 20.
Okay. What
I
about
was
you,
a bit
Nick?
I was a bit miserable last night, so I've had I've had a little chat with myself. So I'm going 34-26 to Poe.
Okay. For Osworth, I think the Ospreys will win. I think they'll nick it by 2. I just got a feeling. I got a
Happy
feeling.
with that? Very happy with that.
Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I won't complain. I'll question your sanity, but I won't complain.
Well, if they go full strength,
Yeah.
which
It's
I
all
think they should do, because as you've
Yeah,
quite rightly picked up on, Zach, that you won't have the internationals in the
no.
URC for the week
no.
after. So if they go full strength, they got a pack to compete with Poe. So I don't see any reason why they can't win there.
Mm.
That they are beatable out there. Poe. It's never easy to win in France, mind, is it?
No,
Let's be
no,
honest. It
no.
doesn't matter whether it's a bottom of the table club or top of the top 14. It's
Yeah.
a very hard place to go like to get a result. But I think the Ospreys are capable of it. I really do. They got a good squad. And if they go there fully loaded, I can see them doing it. I can see them nicking it by a couple of points. But we shall see. But the good news is, at least you've already qualified, so you're not going to be on
Yeah.
tenterhooks, are you? You know, it's not like Cardiff have to win,
Yeah.
then they Dragons have to win, Scarlets have to win, which I'm sure they will. But you guys are safe in the knowledge that you're already through. So there is that, isn't it? You haven't got that worry. Okay, I think we will leave it there for this week. Nick, Zach, thank you very much for joining me, and best of luck to the Ospreys this weekend. The pod will be back next week. Lee should be back next week, but until then, take care and goodbye.
Good night. Thank you, Larry.
That was the Ospreys Diary. Please rate, review and share on socials if you can, and join us next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.